The golden lights of the upscale restaurant shimmered on polished glassware as Robert Caldwell sat across from his daughter Emma. He glanced at her, noticing how she kept her eyes down, shoulders hunched, fingers fidgeting with the edge of her napkin. The clatter of cutlery and soft hum of conversations filled the air, but between them, silence pressed in. Robert cleared his throat, searching for something to say. "The salmon here is excellent, Emma. You used to love salmon," he offered, hoping for a smile. Emma barely looked up. "I'm not really hungry," he tried again. "Maybe just a little? You barely touched lunch." "I said I'm not hungry," she muttered, her voice tight. Robert's jaw clenched. He wanted to reach her, but every attempt seemed to push her further away. He wondered if it had always been this hard, or if it was only since Catherine had passed. He'd built empires, negotiated mergers, but this was beyond him. There, Waitress approached, a young woman with tired eyes but a warm, practiced smile. "Good evening, I'm Mia. Can I get you started with something to drink?" Robert ordered a scotch, Emma, a sparkling water. Mia's gaze lingered on Emma, gentle and understanding, before she retreated. Robert pulled out his phone, scanning emails. Emma's face tightened further. "Why do we even bother?" she whispered, almost to herself. He looked up, frowning. "What?" "Nothing," she replied, sinking lower in her seat. Mia returned with their drinks. As she set down Emma's glass, Emma's hand jerked, knocking it over. Water spilled across the table, splashing onto Emma's dress. Her face went pale, eyes wide, as the room's attention seemed to land on her. I'm sorry, she stammered, voice trembling. Robert reached for napkins, frustration simmering. "Emma, it's just water. Calm down." Emma's breath came in short gasps, panic rising. Robert froze, helpless, watching the familiar signs of her anxiety. Mia knelt beside Emma, her voice low and soothing. "Hey, it's okay. Happens all the time. Once, I spilled soup on a customer's lap. You're doing fine." Emma blinked, her breathing slowing as Mia gently dabbed her dress. "Really? Really? And you know what? He still tipped me." Mia grinned, her kindness unwavering. Emma managed a shaky smile. "That's good, I guess." Mia noticed the sketchbook peeking from Emma's bag. "You draw?" Emma nodded. "Sometimes. My son loves to draw robots. Maybe you could show me your art sometime." Emma's lips curled into a faint smile. "Maybe." Robert watched, stunned. In minutes, Mia had reached Emma in a way he hadn't in months. He glanced at Mia, noticing the weariness beneath her kindness, the practiced patience. She was struggling, yet she gave so freely. As Mia moved away, Robert felt something shift. For all his wealth, he realized, he was missing something essential, a way to truly connect. And in that moment, he wondered if this waitress, with her gentle strength, held the key to bridging the distance between him and his daughter. Robert Caldwell sat in his sleek office, the city skyline sprawling behind him, like a testament to his success. He was a man who had built his fortune from nothing, a self-made investment banker whose relentless work ethic and emotional detachment had become his trademarks. 3 years had passed since Catherine's death, and Robert had buried himself in his work, convinced that financial security was the best gift he could give Emma. Yet beneath the polished exterior, a quiet loneliness lingered. He glanced at a photo on his desk, Catherine smiling, her eyes full of warmth. "I thought money could fix everything," he murmured, "but it can't fix this." Meanwhile, across town, Mia Santos juggled her waitress apron and nursing textbooks, her tired eyes reflecting years of struggle. A single mother, she worked multiple jobs to support her young son, Lucas, and pay for nursing school. Her past was marked by pain. Escaping an abusive relationship had left scars deeper than anyone could see. Yet Mia's resilience shone through her empathy, a well of kindness born from hardship. "You can do this, Mia. she whispered to herself, flipping through anatomy notes. For Lucas. For us. Emma Caldwell, 16, sat in her dimly lit room, her sketchbook open but untouched. The vibrant girl she once was had faded since her mother's passing. Grief and abandonment weighed heavily on her, and her father's absence only deepened the ache. Why bother? She thought, tracing a broken bridge in charcoal. No one really sees me. But the kindness she had glimpsed in Mia at the restaurant lingered in her mind, a reminder of a world beyond her pain. Robert often found himself viewing people through the lens of economic value, a habit ingrained from years in finance. Mia was no exception at first, just another waitress serving tables. But the more he observed her, the more he realized she was a person of depth and strength. Mia's days were a balancing act, early morning shifts at the diner, afternoon classes, and late nights waiting tables. Her son Lucas was her anchor, his laughter a balm against the exhaustion. She had left behind a life filled with fear and pain, determined to build a future where Lucas could thrive. Emma's struggles were silent but profound. Once a bright and engaged student, she now drifted through her days, her grades slipping and her spirit dimming. The loss of her mother had left a void that her father's absence only deepened. Yet in Mia's kindness, Emma found a flicker of hope, a reminder that she was not alone. Flashbacks revealed moments that shaped them. Robert missing Emma's school play, Mia comforting Lucas after a nightmare, Emma sketching quietly in her room, longing for connection. Robert's internal conflict grew as he grappled with his own emotional detachment. He wanted to provide for Emma, but he was unsure how to reach her heart. Mia's empathy challenged his worldview, showing him that true wealth was measured in love and understanding. Emma, inspired by Mia's strength, began to open up, her art becoming a bridge between her pain and healing. Their lives, intertwined by chance, were on the cusp of transformation. Each carried invisible scars, but together they might find the courage to heal. Robert found himself returning to the restaurant more than he cared to admit, sometimes with Emma, sometimes alone, always seeking something he could not quite name. Each visit, he watched Mia move from table to table, her smile unwavering, even as fatigue shadowed her eyes. She was attentive to every customer, never missing a detail, and Robert noticed how she always found a way to make people feel seen. He admired her resilience, though he would never say so aloud. Emma too seemed lighter in Mia's presence, her laughter returning in small bursts, her shoulders relaxing as Mia asked about her drawings and her day. One evening, as Robert waited, for his bill he overheard Mia speaking quietly to another waitress near the kitchen. I just need a few more shifts this week. Lucas's appointment is coming up, and they want to run more tests. I'll figure it out. Her voice was steady, but Robert heard the strain beneath it. The other waitress put a hand on Mia's arm. You're doing everything you can. He's lucky to have you. Mia nodded, her smile faltering for just a moment before she slipped back into her role. Later that night, Robert sat at his desk, the city lights blinking far below. He typed quickly, arranging for a specialist consultation for a boy named Lucas Santos. The payment would be anonymous, the appointment set. He told himself it was nothing, just a gesture, a way to ease a burden. When Mia received the call from the hospital, she was stunned. She thanked the nurse, her mind racing with gratitude and suspicion. Who would do this? She pressed her lips together, torn between relief and discomfort. She had always prided herself on managing alone. Emma, meanwhile, grew closer to Mia with each visit. She began to confide in her, sharing sketches from her notebook, bridges stretching across impossible distances, people reaching for each other from opposite shores. Mia praised her work, encouraging her to submit a piece for the school art show. Emma hesitated, unused to such support, but Mia's belief in her was contagious. At home, Emma's conversations with her father remained strained. Robert noticed the change in his daughter, the way she smiled now, the light in her eyes when she talked about art. He felt a pang of jealousy. mingled with hope. Was it possible that someone else could reach her when he could not? Driven by curiosity and a need to understand, Robert began to look into Mia's background. He used his resources to gather information: her employment history, her education, her struggles as a single mother. He justified it as concern, but deep down, he knew it was about control. When Emma discovered what he was doing, she confronted him, her voice trembling with anger. "She's not an investment, Dad. She's a person. Why can't you just talk?" To her, Robert was stunned, forced to see himself through his daughter's eyes. He realized he had been treating people like assets, measuring worth in terms of risk and reward. As the weeks passed, Mia's son's condition worsened. The hospital called for more tests, more treatments, the bills piling up faster than she could work. Mia pushed herself harder, exhaustion etched into every movement. Emma, emboldened by Mia's encouragement, submitted her artwork to the school show. When she won a prize, she ran to tell Mia first, her father learning of it only later. Robert felt the distance growing, his own daughter turning to someone else for comfort and pride. One evening, after a particularly long shift, Mia sat in the break room, her nursing textbooks open beside her. She traced the highlighted passages with tired fingers, determination burning in her eyes. The restaurant had become a crossroads for her, a place where her worlds collided, where she fought for a future beyond survival. Robert watched her from across the room, seeing not just a waitress but a woman who refused to give up, no matter the odds. Emma's drawings became more hopeful, bridges now connecting, people reaching each other at last. She showed one to her father, and for the first time, he really looked. "It's beautiful, Emma," he said quietly. "What made you draw this?" Emma hesitated, then answered, "Mia said bridges are about hope, about believing you can reach the other side, even when it feels impossible." Robert felt something shift inside him, the old certainties crumbling. The restaurant, once just a place for business dinners, had become a symbol of change, a place where lives intersected, where kindness mattered more than wealth, where invisible struggles were met with unexpected compassion. Robert began to question the values that had shaped his life, wondering if success meant more than numbers on a screen. The stakes had never been higher, not in dollars, but in the fragile connections that could heal or break a heart. Mia's phone buzzed in the dim hospital corridor, but she barely registered it. She sat hunched in a plastic chair outside her son's room, her hands clasped tightly, knuckles white. Lucas was sleeping, his small frame dwarfed by tubes and monitors. She hadn't been home in days, hadn't slept more than a few hours at a time. Her world narrowed to the rhythm of his breathing and the doctor's updates. She tried to summon strength, but fear gnawed at her resolve. Footsteps echoed. She looked up, startled to see Robert standing there, suit rumpled, eyes shadowed with concern. For a moment she stared, confusion and suspicion flickering across her face. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice brittle. "I heard about Lucas. You haven't been at work. I wanted to make sure you were all right," Robert replied, his tone gentler than she'd ever heard. Mia's guard shot up. "You didn't have to come. I'm handling it." He hesitated, searching her face. "I want to help. Let me cover the bills, the specialists, whatever you need." She shook her head, anger and exhaustion mingling. "That's not what we need, Robert. Money doesn't fix everything. My son needs me, present, steady, not just a check from a stranger. Just like Emma needs you, not just your credit card." He faltered, the familiar solution, throwing money at problems, suddenly hollow. "I don't know what else to do. I've always believed if I just worked harder, provided more, it would be enough. But it isn't, is it?" Mia's voice softened, but her eyes stayed sharp. "You can't buy your way into someone's heart. Lucas needs to know I'm here, that I won't leave. Emma needs the same from you. She's not looking for perfection. She just wants her dad to see her, to care." Robert's hands trembled. "I've been hiding behind my work since Catherine died. I thought if I kept busy, if I made sure Emma never wanted for anything, I could avoid the pain. But I see her, slipping away, and I don't know how to reach her. Mia's expression shifted, empathy flickering through her exhaustion. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to show up, be there, even when it's messy, especially then. He looked at her, really looked, and saw the strength in her vulnerability. Watching you with Emma, it made me realize how much I've been missing. You gave her something I couldn't, a sense of being understood. Mia's eyes glistened. You can give her that, Robert. But you have to stop trying to fix everything. With money, just be her dad. He nodded, tears threatening. I want to try. I want to be more than a provider. I want to be present. For Emma. For myself. A silence settled between them, heavy but not hopeless. Robert took a seat beside Mia, not as a savior, but as someone willing to stay, to listen, to care. I'm here, Mia. Not because I feel sorry for you, not because I think I can solve your problems, but because I care about you, about Lucas, about Emma. I forgot what it meant to care about someone, really care, after Catherine died. You and Emma, you reminded me. Mia's shoulders relaxed, the fight draining from her posture. Thank you for staying. That means more than you know. Robert reached for her hand, tentative but sincere. You're not alone in this. Not anymore. As the night deepened, they sat together outside Lucas's room. Two people changed by loss, learning that real connection can't be bought or bargained for. For the first time in years, Robert felt hope, fragile, but real, growing in the space between them. Robert sat at the kitchen table, his laptop closed for the first time in years. Emma was across from him, sketching quietly. He watched her, not as a distant figure, but as a father learning to see his daughter anew. What are you working on? He asked, voice gentle. Emma hesitated, then turned the page to show him. 3 figures stood on a bridge, hands joined, reaching toward the sunrise. It's us, she said softly. You, me, and Mia. Robert smiled, pride warming his chest. It's beautiful, Emma. I never realized how much your art means to you. Emma's eyes met his, searching for doubt, but finding only sincerity. He started coming home earlier, leaving work at the office. He made dinner with Emma, sometimes burning the food, but always laughing together. When Mia called with questions about Lucas's treatment, Robert answered, not as a distant benefactor, but as a partner, sitting beside her in waiting rooms, helping fill out forms, listening when she was afraid. You don't have to do this alone, he told her one evening. Mia nodded, her gratitude no longer tinged with discomfort, but with trust. Emma's art show arrived. Robert sat in the front row, watching as she accepted her ribbon. She scanned the crowd, her eyes landing on him. He waved, and she smiled, a real smile, the kind he hadn't seen in years. Afterward, she hugged him tightly. Thank you for coming, Dad. I wouldn't have missed it for the world, he replied. Mia's son's health stabilized, and she returned to work with new hope. Her relationship with Robert shifted, no longer charity, but respect, understanding, and the beginnings of something deeper. When Robert offered to help with her nursing tuition, Mia accepted, not as a handout, but as a promise to walk forward together, their lives, once parallel, now intertwined, building something stronger than any of them could have managed alone. 6 months had passed, and the lives of Robert, Emma, and Mia had transformed in ways none of them could have predicted. Robert sat in his office, the skyline still sprawling beyond the windows, but now his schedule was different. He had restructured his business to allow for more balance, carving out time to be present for Emma and to support causes close to his heart. Inspired by Mia's determination, he had established a scholarship foundation for single parents pursuing healthcare careers, aiming to help many others facing similar struggles. Emma, once withdrawn and distant, had blossomed both academically and artistically. Her relationship with her father was no longer strained by silence or obligation, but built on mutual understanding and respect. She volunteered at the hospital where Mia now worked as a nursing assistant, balancing her studies with a growing passion for helping others. "Dad, I want to make a difference," she told Robert, her eyes shining with newfound hope. Mia and Lucas had moved into a brighter, more comfortable apartment. Though she maintained her independence fiercely, she had welcomed Robert and Emma into her life, creating a new kind of family forged through shared trials and hope. "It's not just about surviving anymore," Mia said softly. "It's about living, truly living." One evening, the four gathered around Mia's modest dining table, laughter filling the room. It was not the upscale restaurant where their paths had first crossed, but a place of warmth and belonging. Emma reached for her glass, accidentally knocking it over. Instead of panic, the spill sparked laughter from everyone, a small but powerful symbol of how far they had come. Robert smiled, wiping the spill. "Looks like some things never change," Emma laughed. "But now, it's okay." In that moment, the true wealth of their lives was clear, not in money or status, but in connection, transformation, and the unexpected bonds that had changed them all forever. Together, they embraced the future,